So tomorrow's State of the Union comes in the midst of another partial shutdown, a long-awaited Supreme Court decision on tariffs that did not go the president's way, continued rancor by Democrats, and yet another assassination attempt, just another day at the office for the Trump administration. To talk about all this and more, let's bring in Florida Senator Rick Scott. We knew it was not going to be boring, another Trump term, but nobody believed it would be as exciting and fraught with danger and fraught with optimism and new things as did you ever expect it to be anywhere near as exciting as it's been?
Well, I've always known Trump as the Energizer Bunny. I mean, here's a guy who wakes up every day, all day long. He's got a different way of trying to solve problems. But here's what you know. This president's busting his butt every day. This president cares about this country. He's going to help you do everything he can to get you a job, get your kids a better education, keep you safe. So what you know is where he's heading. And his process to getting there is fun sometimes.
Yeah. By the way, is this shutdown? I understand something happened on Sunday concerning TSA, so that might not be as visible a part of the shutdown for most Americans. That some of that has been delayed a bit. But is it going to have any effect on Americans? I mean, other than just making Trump's job more difficult and probably cutting into the incredible GDP growth we've had?
Well, let's remember, we're shut down because that's what Schumer wants to do because he thinks it hurts Trump. It's not about what's good for the country. So, but here's what's so unfair. Democrat senators all want to make sure they get paid, but TSA agents are not getting paid. So eventually they're not going to show up. Secret Service is not getting paid. Coast Guard's not getting paid. Homeland Security's not getting paid. That has an impact eventually. People who work at FEMA, they're not getting paid. So it's going to impact Americans, but Democrats, unfortunately, they don't care.
No, they don't seem to. You have especially, many people don't know you were in the I believe it was the pharmaceutical, you were in the health business in the past. But as you overlook, I understand you don't want to completely take on Obamacare head on because there are too many people that are attached to it. But at the same time, it's not working. It is not fulfilling what they claimed it would do, which is to bring down prices. Prices are twice or triple that of when even inflation adjusted as to when Obamacare passed. How do you sort of get the nation off of Obamacare without too much disruption to get us into a healthcare system that works?
Well, I built the largest hospital company in the world. There's no reason prices cost what they cost. It's all because of the government. Remember, Obamacare said you can keep your doctor. Lie. You're going to save $2,500 a family. Lie. The government would save money. Lie. So what you have to do is you have to do the opposite. Don't have the money directed by government. Have their money going to the individual. Let the individual work with their doctor to buy the best health care possible. So they can take those dollars and buy health insurance. They can buy direct health care. They can pay co-payments, deductibles. But let them choose the health care that fits for their family, not what some big government program says it should be or some insurance company says it should be. If you do that, you're going to start seeing people be shoppers, which is going to drive down healthcare cost.
Nobody cares more about the price and the quality of the product they're buying than the person that's buying. If you put the middlemen between the person who's selling and the person who's buying, they're going to do all sorts of fiddling with both the price structure and the quality of the product. If you put the consumer in charge, we'll take care of that. I mean, it's Milton Friedman 101.
Pretty simple stuff. Now, you can still take care of pre-existing condition. You want to make sure people get health care. Look, I grew up in public housing. I watched when my mom couldn't get health care if my little brother had a disease. I want people to get health care. But here's what you know. As government gets bigger, right, then people can't afford health care, so you're not helping them. You look around the world. When government runs health care, they restrict access to health care.
Yep. By the way, because of the fact that you experienced public housing, and you're looking at Mamdani, who wants to eliminate, essentially decommoditize, that's a Marxian phrase he uses, private housing in New York, and perhaps eventually the whole country. What would you tell the people of New York about what happens when the government takes over private property?
I'd get the hell out. I mean, look, I grew up in public housing. I don't know anybody that says, man, I want to get back to government-run housing.
Right.
Right? I mean, the government doesn't do anything well. I mean, they fight wars well, but they don't run housing better. They don't do grocery stores better. So what he's going to do is he's going to cause it. There will be a shortage, which is the first thing that happens under socialism. There's always ends up a shortage. People don't want to invest. And what you do have is going to get run down because people don't want to invest, because you can't take the dollars to invest because there's no return because of increased property taxes or increased costs. So that's what Mamdani is going to do. He's going to destroy the economy of New York, and he's going to make the cost of living skyrocket. So
well, and not to mention the city go bankrupt. We put together a list of the spending that Mamdani wants for the city of New York, alongside what you spend for the entire state of Florida. The amount that Mamdani wants to spend, $127 billion, is $10 billion more than your entire state's budget. The population, of course, of New York is much smaller than your entire state. And you have zero taxes. The state and local taxes in New York are almost 15%. So you're doing much more with zero taxes, income tax. Again, what would you tell New Yorkers who are voting for Mamdani, those who don't want a Marxist solution?
Well, first off, I don't know how you're going to get out of this. I mean, you're stuck with this guy for, I guess, 4 years. And so in those 4 years, you're going to have less jobs. Your education system is going to get worse, and it's going to be more dangerous to live there, because he's already, saying he's going to reduce the number of police. That means crime, is going to be worse. He's going to focus on just the teachers union instead of getting outcomes. We have got to get better outcomes. How do you do that? You would let people give the money to the parent and let them choose the school they want. Might be a public school, could be a charter school, could be a private school. Let them choose what they want. And guess what? They'll find the best thing. It's like everything. Yep. When you give the consumer the money, they are better shoppers.
Yeah. Freedom works. Those two words, freedom works. It really does. It works politically and it works economically. Senator Rick Scott, what a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much for being here.
Nice to see you, David. Have a good day. Bye.